Can we really trust our memory? Have you ever believed that what you remember is the truth? That your memories of childhood, of conversations, of past events are like a film, stored safely in your mind, waiting to be played back? But the truth is, memory is not a camera. It doesn't record everything. And it certainly doesn't play back the past with perfect accuracy. Memory is reconstruction, not storage. Every time you recall something, you're not just replaying it, you're rebuilding it, stitching it together from fragments of emotion, imagination, context, and guesswork. And the more often you recall it, the more it changes, quietly, without your awareness. You see, your brain doesn't prioritize truth. It prioritizes what's believable. If a detail doesn't fit, your mind will quietly fill in the gaps with something that feels right, not necessarily what actually happened. This is how memories can become distorted. Some people vividly remember events that never happened. This is called a false memory. You might remember locking the door, but you didn't. You might be sure someone said something, but they never did. In a famous experiment, scientists told participants a fictional story that as children they had gotten lost in a shopping mall. At first, everyone denied it, but after hearing the story repeated a few times, nearly 30% of participants began to remember the event, even adding extra details: who was with them, how they felt, what they saw. The memory was completely made up, but to them, it felt real. So, can memory be manipulated? Yes. Through suggestion, repetition, or simply hearing others recount the same thing over and over, the brain can overwrite real memories with false ones. This is why eyewitness testimonies, as convincing as they sound, are often not as reliable as we think. But that doesn't mean memory is useless. Memory doesn't just record, it helps you survive. It chooses what's meaningful, shapes it based on your experience, and builds a version of the past that you can carry with you. Sometimes, the brain distorts a painful memory so you can heal. Sometimes, it helps you forget so you can move on. Memory is not the absolute truth, but it is the truth you live with. And once we understand that, we become gentler with ourselves and with the memories we hold. Have you ever sat in silence, letting your mind drift back to a childhood memory, and suddenly felt your heart warm or ache? A blurry image, a voice of a loved one. That time you fell in the rain. You believe it's all real. You trust your memory to tell the truth. But here's what no one tells you. Memory is not a camera. It's a painting. And it's repainted every time you look. Each time you remember, your brain recreates the memory with colors of emotion, strokes of imagination, and sometimes with other people's brushstrokes. You might not be remembering the event itself, but the last time you thought about the event, and over time, the details start to shift. Someone who cried might now be smiling. A moment once painful may now seem poetic. It all depends on who you are when you remember it. There's even a phenomenon called the Mandela effect, where many people remember something incorrectly in the same way. Like how so many believe Pikachu has a black tip on its tail, but it never did. Why does this happen? Because your brain doesn't stay still. It constantly fills in the gaps, stitching meaning into chaos. If a detail feels like it belongs, your brain may insert it, even if you never actually lived it. Think of every memory you hold as a book. And every time you open that book to read, you also rewrite a little bit before you close it. You might add a sentence, erase a line, change a word, deepen the emotion. And over time, that story isn't the same story anymore. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Memory isn't perfect, but it has a purpose. It helps us learn. It helps us feel. It helps us make sense of the mess behind us. Sometimes it even protects us. When the past is too painful, your brain might blur it out or change it just so you can keep moving forward. So, Sam, can we trust memory? The answer is not completely, but it's still precious. Because memory isn't only about accuracy, it's about who we become from what we remember. And in the end, whether perfect or flawed, memory is what connects you to your past, to others, and to the story you're still writing every single day.